Hey guys, it's Sarah here. So today I wanted to share a flip through of my December daily album with all of you. And a little disclaimer here, you might be able to tell that I'm doing a voiceover right now. I actually filmed this video and the audio didn't really turn out very good. So instead of actually refilming this whole thing and uploading it again, I thought that I would just go ahead and try doing a voiceover. So hopefully things match up okay and it's not too off. And thank you for bearing with me. And I really hope that you enjoy this. I hope that you're not completely worn out seeing everything and doing everything December daily over the last month. And hopefully you enjoy this. So I have a really thick album to share with you. And so I thought that I would split this into two parts. I'm planning to share the first 12 days with you today. And then in the next couple of days, I will upload part two to share the last bit of December with you. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this first half, and I will post a link below sharing my last video, which was kind of the setup of this album. So if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and check that out. So this first page was my December calendar, and before December came, I actually filled in some of this just with dates that I already knew, of course, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's, those kinds of things. But after December, I went through and just filled this in a little bit more with any specific things that we did. We went to Vegas, we had a little baking party, just those things that were happening during the month, just kind of filled those in. And then I have a transparency here that I bought from Michael's, and I put down two of the messy circles that came in Ali Edwards' main kit. These are really pretty. They have a beautiful gold foil on them, and they're textured kind of like wood grain. So that's really nice. I just adhered those to the front and back. And then I didn't really know what I was going to do on that front page there. I normally would have started day one here, but I needed a 2-page spread for the 1st of December. So on this page, I decided to kind of have a couple of filler cards, and I had these really cute die cuts. You see that little Eskimo girl and the Eskimo guy there. Those were a couple of elements that I used instead of putting photos. That was kind of my original plan, was to use a couple of photos that I didn't have a chance to put in the rest of my binder, but I didn't have any photos that I hadn't already used, so I used these little die cuts, and they came from my Mind's Eye. That's just kind of the pull apart sheet that you saw there, and I couldn't believe that these were actually from all the way back in 2009. I don't think you're going to be able to read that, but when I was going through my stash and kind of cleaning things out after December, I found this little sheet, and these were so cute. I was really happy to be able to kind of use them in my binder. And so I have that little Eskimo girl and Eskimo guy there, and used a couple of cards from the kits that I got for this year. I got Decorate's mini kit and Ali Edwards' main kit. So I did some journaling just about December, and then I wrote out 10 things that I was grateful for, just a very short sort of gratitude list to kind of start this album. And for December 1st, we went to Disneyland. So I have a photo there of me and my husband in front of that giant Christmas tree at the entrance at Disneyland. And then I used a number 1 tag. This came in Ali Edwards' main kit last year. I had some of them left over, and so I used them throughout my binder. So I just hole punched that and laid that kind of on top of the photo. I really liked how where it sat, it didn't cover up our faces, and then kind of when you flip it over, you can see the full 6x8 photo there. And then I used a couple of rubber embellishments from Felicity Jane Studio. And then, as I mentioned before, I was using a lot of pieces from Decorate's mini kit as well as Ali Edwards' main kit, since those were the kits I got this year, as well as just kind of using little bits and pieces that were already in my stash and things from last year's kit. So it was fun to mix it up and kind of use what I had already on hand. For day 2, I was talking about the 1 year anniversary of the San Bernardino attack. So if you saw my walkthrough of my 2015 December daily album, I included when the attacks happened. And because they happened so close to where I work, there were a lot of things that were going on in remembrance of that day. So I just felt like I wanted to include a little bit of journaling about what I was feeling, kind of just thoughts and feelings. And so I slipped my journaling into that little bag right there. And on the corresponding page, I used a piece of 6x8 pattern paper, and then I cut out the San Bernardino Strong arrowhead. And then at the bottom there, I used one of the tickets that came in Allie Edwards' main kit this year that said remember, and then I took the number 2 from the main kit. Day 3 was really simple. I was basically decorating and cleaning all day. I was getting ready for a Friendsgiving that we were having on the 4th. So I kept this really simple and to one page. I just have some journaling down there, and then a photo of our stockings on the fireplace, and then I used number 3 here. These are leftover numbers that I had from last year. I bought them at, I think, Michael's or Joann's, and I just kind of spread those throughout my journal, what I had left. And then I used that Joy ticket that came from Allie's main kit this year. So more traditional colors on this page, kind of the greens and reds. And then we go into the less traditional colors. I brought in some pink here. This was the day of our Friendsgiving, and had a lot I wanted to include on this page, a lot of journaling and a lot of photos, but I wanted to contain it into one full spread. So I used little areas in my photos that I could write, and I used that for journaling. And then I had that one journaling card to the right. And then here I had 2 photos that were kind of the same. So the one that is underneath my flip up card was kind of taken in the moment right before we posed for that photo that is on top. And I found that kind of after the fact, after I had put this page together. But I mean, those are my favorite photos, the ones that are in the moment and unplanned. So I wanted to make sure I included that. So I just made this into a flip up card, and then I was able to kind of adhere it there, and it's kind of a little peek at something fun underneath. That Cheers My Dears card is from Decorate's mini kit. It's really beautiful. It has kind of a rose gold finish, and a lot of the cards that were in her kit had that really pretty rose gold finish, so I really love that detail. And then that little card that you see there on top of Friendsgiving came in a Beautiful Messes kit from last year. I just cut that out and then adhered it on top of that polka dot card from Decorate. So day 5 and 6 are actually reversed here. I had a lot to say on day 5, but I didn't have any photos. And for day 6, I kind of had enough to perfectly fit into those 4 pockets. So it wasn't a big deal to me to kind of switch that up and reverse what side they were on. So I decided to just go for it. And so for day 5, I printed out all of my journaling. I typed it up and then printed it out and stuck it in the pockets there. And day 6 was talking about my workout routine and how it changed for the month of December because everything was so busy. And I used that little deer card, which is so cute. That came in Decorate's mini kit. I love the sentiment on the other side where it says, "Oh dear," but I really love having the deer's face really big and on that blue background. So I just incorporated the same phrase using some alphabet stickers. And I went ahead and spelled out "oh dear," and that way I kind of got the best of both worlds there. I didn't have to sacrifice anything. I kind of tied them both in. Day 7, we went around our neighborhood and checked out some Christmas lights. So my photos for this day were quite dark because they were obviously taken at night. And so I wanted to make sure that I tied in some brighter elements. So I used A lot of kind of white areas, a lot of white cards. And then I also really love that trio of red that's kind of continued across the entire layout. So I have the chipboard pieces, that red number 6 and then the red joy, and I really loved having those elements. I use this transparency here to adhere joy to, and I used some glue dots to get those down. I felt like it wasn't quite secure enough for me. I don't know, I'm always a little bit hesitant with things that are outside the pockets that need to stay in place. So I went ahead and adhered those also with my tiny attacher. I just kind of stapled the letters on there. And seeing the staples doesn't bother me. I tend to use staples as embellishments anyways, so that's okay for me. I think that if that does bother you, I think you could really get away with just using some red line tape or glue dots. I think you would be fine, but I really like kind of having that extra security with the staples in there. And then I added that little rubber bow from Felicity Jane Studio, and I kind of love how that makes it look a little bit more like a wreath. And I wanted to use the awesome spirit of this season. I really loved that sentiment card, so I made this into another flip-up pocket so that I could have my journaling underneath. Day 8, I talked about some of my favorite things in December. This is something that I did last year, and I really loved seeing that in my album as I was flipping through it later on. So it's something I already knew heading into this year's project that I wanted to include. So what I did here is I took just random things that I was loving in December, and I used my desktop, which is white. I used that as my backdrop. I just laid everything out and then took a photo from above. And then I went into Photoshop and I used the digital version of a stamp set that Ali Edwards came out with for December Daily. And that's where those numbers come from. And then I just wrote out what those corresponding numbers were on the left-hand side in that journaling card that says "Smiling's my favorite." Really like the red and black colors that kind of tied in on that page. I thought that turned out really good. And then day 9, kind of the same idea here. I laid out some ornaments on my desk and took a photo from above. One thing that me and my husband do every year when we travel is we will pick up ornaments, and that's kind of our go-to souvenir that we like to collect. So what I did is last year I had actually taken a photo of every ornament we had on our tree that was collected from our travels, and then I typed out where it was from. This year I just took the new additions to our tree. So we had 4 ornaments that we've collected this year, and I used these little circle embellishments that came in one of Ali Edwards' December digital kits, and I kind of made them into flip-up ornaments. So basically when I was cutting it out, I made sure that it had a little front and back piece, so I could adhere that back piece down and then flip up the little circle there and then write in where my ornament was from. So just kind of made it a little more interesting, created a bit of an interactive element there, and I really like how that kind of turned out. It was sort of a fun feature. And then for that corresponding journaling card, I used a card that Liz Tasmahana came out with in her mini kit, her mini December daily kit, and it's originally a 3x4 card, but the digital version, what I love about digital kits is that you can really resize everything. So I took that 3x4 card and I blew it up to be a 6x8 page, and that gave me more room to actually write in my journaling. And then this illustration, that tree illustration, is something that Jasmine Jones released in one of her December Daily mini kits. So I took that tree and I put it onto Liz Tasmahana's card, and that created kind of the perfect card for me to talk about ornaments for that day. Day 10, I was talking about our Christmas tree. So I have this full 6 by 8 photo of our tree, and I left that out of the pocket, so I just hole punched on the side there so it could fit in my album. And then I used one of those messy circles with the gold foiling that says let it shine, and I just let that kind of go off the edge of the page there. I didn't want it to go off too much, so that I would have to cut it down for it to really fit in my journal, but just enough that it kind of peeks through when you close the journal. And then I used another one of these tags. This is the number 10. I didn't do anything to the back there. I just basically hole punched it and stuck it in the binder. And then for the journaling, I adhered a 3 by 8 strip of cardstock that I had typed my journaling onto, and I adhered it onto this transparency. And then on the back, I adhered the journaling for day 11. So it's just kind of an interesting way to switch up the journaling. That one was done in a little 3 by 8 page protector, but this is also another way that you can kind of use a 3 by 8 strip of journaling if you want it kind of out of the pocket. Just add some nice detailing to the sides because you have that transparency kind of peeking through. So day 11 was my office's Christmas party, and that night I actually forgot to take any photos. I couldn't believe when I came home that I didn't have a single photo. I totally blanked on that. So what I did is the next day I took a photo of a bottle of wine that I won from a White Elephant gift exchange, and that's kind of the reason why Nugget is photobombing this photo, but it's really cute having him in there, so I don't mind that at all. And it was basically a representative photo of the night before. So that was just kind of a way to improvise and make it work for me. And I adhered that photo onto a 6 by 8 piece of pattern paper, and then I added in a couple of those holly acetate shapes, and then added in my number 11. And then day 12, I was talking about Nugget's first Christmas. Nugget is our dog that we got in March, and this was his first Christmas, and he kind of got spoiled rotten by family and friends and neighbors, and he's definitely a very loved puppy. But my parents bought that little ornament in that photo for us to hang on our Christmas tree, and it just looks so much like him with his tongue sticking out, and it's just really cute. So I wanted to include a photo of that. So I had it as 6 by 8 photo. I had actually put that ornament down on my desk and then taken a photo, and I used the negative space to type up my journaling. And then on that little 3 by 4 card insert, I also included a photo of Nugget. And then on this 2-inch little pocket page protector, I just had a lot of fun embellishing this. I brought in a lot of flair from Feed Your Craft. I have some wooden pieces that I have outside of the pockets. I have a couple of shaker pockets that I included some sequins in. I didn't really bother fusing those together or stitching or anything there. I just put on some washi tape to kind of close that pocket so the sequins wouldn't fall out. But it was fun just kind of playing around with that, and this is the only mini like 2-inch pocket protector that I put together. But it was really fun. I really love kind of having this in the very middle of my book. So that is where I'm going to stop today. Thank you so much for watching this part 1 of my December daily flip through. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I will see you very soon again for part 2, where I will flip through the last part of my December daily. So I hope you're having a wonderful day and that you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will talk to you soon.